welcome to What's Happening at NCI. I'm your host, Olivia Garrett, and today we have with us a special guest, Trevor Martin. He is our workforce development instructor at NCI, and he is also the lead of our FIRST Robotics team, which is called STAGS. Trevor, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So let's start with a little bit of background for our viewers. Can you tell us a little bit about your role at NCI and how you got involved in both workforce development and robotics?
Yes, ma'am. So during the day, I'm the workforce development instructor at NCI. We teach a variety of classes from wind energy to, fiber optics. We're involved in a whole lot of different things. Then of course at night, I run the STAGS robotics team, so we work with 9th through 12th graders and teach them a whole bunch of skills from fabrication to machining, programming, whatever it may be. My background, I mostly worked in manufacturing and racing, so I learned a lot of skills through that. Eventually got tired of turning wrenches and decided I wanted to, teach other people how to do stuff like that. So.
Now, were you working on cars or were you racing, driving?
I was just behind the scenes, working on them.
Awesome.
Yep. So I owned my own speed shop for a period of time. Just enjoyed building cars from the ground up. Trying to bring people's visions to life. So.
Very cool. Well, that sounds like a good fit into the workforce development side at NCI. And so the work that you're doing on FIRST Robotics sounds really exciting. Can you tell us more about the team and the types of students that get involved?
Yes, ma'am. So we have students from all over. We are a community-based team, so we do not discriminate, on where a student comes from. As far as school alignment. There's plenty of teams out there that just recruit from one school. It doesn't matter whether you go to Martinsville, Magna Vista, Bassett, homeschool, private school. We have kids from all over, all different types. Robotics, from the outside looking in, it just looks like all they do is just build this robot, sort of dorky. But there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
To build that robot takes a lot of different types of kids with a lot of different skill sets.
And you say they're high schoolers, or what's the age group?
So 9th through 12th graders.
9th through 12th graders. Okay,
yep.
Great.
We do a lot of stuff from the manufacturing of the parts. So that there's kids that really enjoy working with their hands. Then once the robot's actually built and all the mechanisms are worked out, well, then you've got to program it. So that takes a certain skill set, and then you need to be able to market your team, solicit donations. So there's a business and marketing component to it too.
Very cool. And about how big is a team per season?
So our team is typically somewhere between 10 to 20 kids. I think right now we're sitting at about 12, and I'm hoping to get up to about 15 or so before the season starts. Very
cool. And are they? I'm assuming, we'll take anybody from any school, but are they mostly like Martinsville, Henry County, or?
We've actually got a pretty even split right now. I think last time I tallied it up, we had a pretty much even split between the 3 public high schools, and then we also have just 2 or 3 homeschoolers sprinkled in.
I was just thinking we should have brought our the helmet that has the deer antlers. Where did the name STAGS come from? Do you know?
So STAGS stands for Students Technologically Advancing for Greater Success.
Okay.
The team originally had a different name back when it was established in 2004. From my understanding, one of the awards that you can win, at competitions that isn't necessarily directly related to the robot is imagery. It's how well your team image ties in with your branding and how well that's recognized in the robot and your pit area and everything. It all ties together. So that award being a thing, the mentors at the time decided that, hey, we need a name and image that's unique that would help us better suit that award. So I'm not sure exactly how they came up with it, but they chose the STAGS, came up with the Fear the Deer tagline,
I love that.
And started dressing the kids in the hard hats and jumpsuits. So it's been the same ever since.
That's great. Well, let's see here. So we got stags, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after our commercial break. Can you tell us a little bit more about, your background and the other work that you do at NCI?
Yes, ma'am. Originally I sort of got involved with NCI because I had familiarity with CNC machines. So our Center for Advanced Manufacturing, we call it training center at this point. But we have a variety of CNC machining equipment in there. So I love working with local manufacturers, machine shops that want to learn more about those processes. And then along came the wind energy program. We helped build that up. Using my background and my skills, we actually were able to fabricate our own training tower for training wind turbine technicians. There's been a variety of equipment we made in-house. I think that's what sort of makes us unique, is we're able to, react a little faster, rather than waiting on an outside company to come and make our stuff. We're able to just make it ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that you and some of our other team are in the middle of some advanced rescue training, train the trainer training. So thank you for taking the time to take a little break this afternoon and come out here and be on TV with us to spread the word about the robotics team.
Absolutely.
Folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back to talk more about the Stags robotic team at NCI. We're back. Everyone joining us, you're watching What's Happening at NCI, and today we have with us NCI's Workforce Development Instructor and the manager of NCI's FIRST Robotics team, Trevor Martin, with us. In our earlier part of the show, we talked generally about the robotics team and Trevor's work at NCI, but we'll jump into the heart of the discussion today, which is robotics and its connection to career development. So, Trevor, can you tell us about NCI's robotics team and particularly the main goals of the program and how robotics helps prepare students for the future?
Absolutely. So robotics, I touched on it earlier, but there's just a wealth of skills that you can learn. From being able to learn hands-on skills, such as mechanics. That we have a lot of kids that come in, they've never touched a wrench before. They're able to work with their hands and get familiar, and comfortable with how to do that. We have some kids that are more comfortable on the computer side of things, and that may, materializing doing the design for a robot in computer-aided drafting or CAD, or students that may like programming. So lots of different ways you can go about it, but it can lead into a variety of different skills and career paths. We have some kids that their goal is just, I want to work with my hands. They may want to become a welder or a mechanic or, something, in the trades. And then we have a lot of kids that, want to be the people behind designing these mechanisms. They want to be the engineers of the future. We've had several kids go on to join engineering programs.
Or have there ever been any kids that, have they're completely entry level, no CAD experience, no engineering background or interest?
Oh, absolutely. We actually very, very rarely have any kids that come in having ever done any of what we do. And a lot of times it's sort of deer in the headlights at first.
Well, you're the deer.
But one thing that I think is really special about our team is, the kids really try to support each other. Our mentors are at pretty much every meeting. They really try to guide these kids and teach them the skills that they're familiar with, but the kids also interact with one another and try to help each other learn skills.
That's really cool because I've seen several of the robots that the robotics teams have had over the past year that I've been here, and I mean, to me they look really complicated. I would not have known that these are kids that had no experience.
Yeah, basically our philosophy is as far as the actual robot itself is concerned, well, we let the kids, come up with the ideas, do most of the design and build themselves. If they really get stuck on something, well, we'll jump in and help them. But for the most part, we try to teach the skills and then let them apply those skills, to the robot in competition.
That's really cool. So it sounds like robotics is a fantastic way to build, these critical engineering, coding, even marketing and leadership skills. Can you tell us about some of the projects or competitions that are coming up for the team?
Yeah, so actually this past weekend we competed at the Blue Ridge Brawl. It is our off-season competition that we go to basically every year.
And where was that located?
That is actually in Salem, Virginia.
Okay, yeah.
And we actually ended up winning that competition.
Congratulations.
So very happy about that.
That's awesome.
Our normal competition season runs from somewhere around it starts the first weekend in January and runs into about April. So that's like really crunch time, build season. We're in there 5-6 days a week. But outside of that, like currently we're in the off season, and we mainly use this time as a chance to train new members. For example, the drive team, the operators of the robot at competition, we use our off-season competition, Blue Ridge Brawl, as an opportunity to get them up to speed. It's a smaller event, a little less stressful. So we use that as an opportunity to get them up there, let them drive the robot, let them get some exposure to an actual field and actual game. You have other teams on the field, and the team that we had up there obviously did pretty good, learned pretty quick because they walked away with the win.
So this season, are these pretty much all fresh new students, or are there any recurring that have kind of had the experience before and can help the others? Or
we've picked up a few new students so far, but for the most part it is returning members. At the moment we are going to work on recruitment, try to get a few more new faces in there.
Good.
Last year almost the whole team was brand new, so that was an interesting experience. I think we only had 4 or 5 kids with any experience whatsoever.
Oh wow. Well, y'all still did really well, right? I think you ended in the 30s for the whole state, the top 30?
Yep, so for our district, which is the First Chesapeake, which runs from, that encompasses Virginia, Maine, D.C., a good wide area. I think 110 teams competed last year, if memory serves, and we ended up 35th. So
wow.
Pretty happy with that, but the kids have told me time and time again they want to go to that world competition, which is reserved for the top 15 teams in the district. So that's our goal this year.
Well, that's awesome, and I like the competitive spirit. So what kind of doors do, being on a robotics team, what does that open up for you in terms of career?
It can take you far. I mean, there's specifically grants and sponsorships and I guess I should say scholarships available for FIRST alumni. So that's the first thing.
Yeah, that's important.
A lot of there's plenty of larger companies out there that just seeing FIRST robotics on your resume when you're applying, that can be a deciding factor.
Wow.
So it can really lead you a lot of different places. We actually provide internships here at NCI for a couple of seniors on the Stags every year. So they get the opportunity to work with me in our training center, get a little bit higher level of exposure to advanced manufacturing and everything that we do down there.
Very cool.
And I'm very interested. One of my goals being this year to try to set up more internships with other local companies who may be in need of skilled younger talent that want to have a hand in teaching the next generation. So.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like this year's team, particularly with the kids that are returning to the team, seems like you got a bunch of go-getters. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, thanks for sharing that information. We'll touch base a little bit more after our commercial break about how, if you're interested or you have a student that's interested, that they can join the robotics team. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. before we wrap up our show today, we're going to touch on the robotics team at NCI just one more time, and then we'll talk about some of our upcoming events. So, Trevor, if somebody watching is interested in signing up for the robotics team, or they have a child or grandchild interested in the program, how do they go about getting on the team?
So there's a few different ways. You can either attend one of our meetings. For the off season, we are meeting on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. And Saturdays from 10 to 4, I believe. So our lab is located at 31 Fayette Street. It's just right up the road from NCI's main building. You can just drop by. That's one way. We'll bring you in, get you accustomed, see what you think. Or you can get in touch with me. Email's probably best. That's going to be tmartin@newcollegeinstitute.org, or by phone.
Okay.
Honestly, don't quite remember my work number right now. I think that we're all
No
guilty
worries,
of that
we
a
got it
little
on the screen. Well, that's great. So if you heard Trevor, if you're interested, you can pop in to our Fayette lab on Fayette Street in Uptown Martinsville. You can email Trevor, or you're welcome to call the office. And you can also always visit our website, newcollegeinstitute.org. And as Trevor said, this is the off season, but they're still practicing and going to competitions. The regular season starts in January.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, we have some great events coming up at NCI in the next couple of weeks. Trevor, I know that your robotics team, they're out and about at all the community events. What do you guys have lined up?
So we are going to be passing out candy in Uptown Martinsville
Very nice.
on Halloween. So the kids will be out and about, dressed in their Stags uniforms with the hard hats and everything, passing out candy. So we'll be there.
Awesome. And so you won't be able to miss them. They'll have their hard hats on,
Absolutely.
jumpsuits with the deer antlers. If you went to Oktoberfest, you might have seen a robotic trash can rolling around. So stay on the lookout for that. If you see it, then the robotics team isn't too far away.
Yep.
So that's definitely something to check out next week in Uptown, where they'll be having the trick or treat, sponsored by the Chamber. Also, we have a few other events this Thursday, October 24th. Buzz for Good will be premiering their show featuring the Smith River Singers. That'll be at NCI in the lecture hall. If you aren't able to make the premiere on Thursday, they will be airing the show on the Blue Ridge Public Broadcasting Network next Wednesday, October 30th. We also have a couple of events. Empowering Voices, Inc. Let's Take a Stand Together is an event to combat domestic violence. That's on October 25th. They have more information available on their Facebook page. And also in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, on Saturday, November 2nd, the Southside Survivor Response Center is having a gala. There's a number of Halloween-related events going on around town. We mentioned the trick-or-treat. There's a trunk-or-treat in the parking lot of NCI that night as well, so make sure you walk down the road a little bit to see that. And then also, if you caught our last episode where we had Dr. Shanta, she was promoting Kid Wind, which is a new club that we have at NCI for students. They still have a few slots remaining. They are meeting next Monday and next Tuesday at 4 p.m., so be sure to visit our website to sign up for that. Trevor, and thank you for sharing your insights today. Are there any last words or plugs you want to get in for the robotics team?
I will say, in addition to looking for additional students to sign up, we are also always in need of additional adult mentors. You don't have to have any prior teaching experience. You can come from any discipline. We can all use almost any skill set of anybody who wants to get involved and try to help foster the education of those skills into the next generation. If you have blue collar background, you're used to maybe you're a welder or whatever. We can use any skill set. We're always in need of marketing folks. I definitely always in need of programming folks. That's a tough one to come by around here.
And that's computer programming,
Yes, ma'am.
coding, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
So specifically, our robot runs off of Java. So,
Okay.
Anybody out there that might know Java and wants to teach it to some kids, let me know.
Very nice. And so the same way to sign up to be a mentor, same way to get on the team?
Pretty much just get in touch with me, drop by, we'll have a conversation, we'll go from there.
Very good. Well, if you're interested in being a mentor for our robotics team, or you're a student or know a student who is interested in the robotics team, please reach out to Trevor. And of course, as I mentioned before, you're always welcome to visit our website, newcollegeinstitute.org, for more information. Trevor, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of What's Happening at NCI. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our next episode.